Hi folks, and welcome to Waterford Property Watch. I'm Marie Clifford from Liberty Blue Estate Agents here in Waterford City, and today I am joined by Suzanne Parker of Parker Law. Suzanne's going to give us some information about the whole area of probate. So Suzanne, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Tell me, because this comes up quite a bit with us when we're valuing property. Maybe somebody has passed away in the family, there's an executor, there's a will sometimes, there's no will other times, and everything has to go through probate. Tell us what happens.
Well, a lot of people don't realise that when someone passes away, their assets are almost stuck. They're in limbo until they're dealt with. And for the assets to become dealt with, a grant of probate or permission from the court is needed to come through. Now, if a person has a will, they've named executors, they say what they want to happen with their assets. So they can make an application to the court for a grant of probate to issue. If there's no executor in the will, you're relying on an act from the 60s, the Succession Act, to say who has a right, who's next in the chain with an entitlement to take it out, and then a second who's entitled to it under it. And I won't go into kind of the specifics of who is entitled to things under the Act, because every family is different, whether there's children or no children or grandchildren. But for the process itself, when you apply for a grant of probate, it's more than likely several months after the person has passed away. And this is something that often frustrates people when they're purchasing a property, because they don't realise what stage things are at and how long things could take. So from the day that you can actually, someone passes away, obviously they can't go straight to their solicitor. They need to get death certificates, and there's a few things they need to do, and there's mourning and things are happening. But when they're ready to go and talk about getting the grant, that's when the solicitor starts gathering the information to apply for it. So it's not just the property you make an application to the court to be able to sell. You have got to make an application to deal with all of their assets. So you could be writing to a bank to get a valuation. The bank could take a week to come back, or it could take 6 weeks to come back. Everything is different and timelines are different. So like generally, there's something called an executor's year. And that scares people if they hear there's 12 months. But the executor's year is generally how long a probate could take to go through. Now, each probate office is different. We're in Waterford at the moment. So Waterford takes maybe about 14 to 16 weeks from the day the application is lodged. Now, you could be 2-3 months into the process when you actually have the application lodged in the probate office here in Waterford.
Because obviously you have to get everything valued, gather all your paperwork, then have
everything put together. So it's everything in the one envelope on this, because it's quite difficult to change it later if you've missed something. So you do a full inventory of the estate and you put it into the probate house. Now, Dublin is different. There at the moment, their timelines are about 24 weeks. But that's the estimate of the timelines. We've got some probates back from the probate office in 6 or 7 weeks that are quite simple and straightforward. Others with more complication take that little bit longer time. But that's on the basis as well that there's no queries. The probate office can come back with some queries. And then again, it doesn't start the clock from the beginning, but it pushes things back. So once the probate is granted, you then have your grant of probate. This is the court approval that allows you to deal with the asset. And that's what you need. So like executors, and if there's executors appointed under a will, they can enter contracts, they can put the property up for sale, they can do an awful lot to get it to the stage that the property is ready to go, and it can't close until the grant issues. But if there's no executors or no will, they legally can't enter contracts on behalf of the estate because they've no entitlement to do it until they have a grant. So it's a little bit different. People could ask questions as to why an executor can sign a contract and wait for the closing, but a legal representative as an administrator can't. So every property, every case is different. And it is the case, I think something with a probate, it's getting the information in advance and having realistic expectations about timelines, about what you're waiting for. If it is a Dublin probate, for example, if the person was resident in Dublin and had property in Waterford, or if it's a Waterford, just things can happen a little bit faster because there's different timelines.
So the probate office that will be dealing with it depends on where the person was a resident, not where the assets are.
There's a couple of reasons why you might change in different places. Where they're resident, their place of death as well. So it is the case we could have a lady that she passed away in Dublin but was resident in Mayo and had property in Waterford. So there could be 3 different, and then there's a question of, do we apply to Mayo or Dublin? And it's often the case that Mayo wouldn't accept it, so we have to go to Dublin to deal with the property in Waterford.
Susanna, what happens in the case of maybe there is or isn't a will and there's nobody, like nobody knows? Because I've been dealing with some properties as well previously, and I know the solicitor had to do a huge amount of work to find out actually what assets this person owned. It was a person that wasn't married, so it was nieces and nephews that would have, I assume, would inherit, right?
Yeah.
But the solicitor had to do a huge amount of work to find out how do you do that?
Your starting point is always your executor to see, right, what can you find in the house?
Yeah.
What kind of information can you get? What kind of statements? Anything like that. But generally, and I have another girl in the office at Legal Executive that works with me exclusively in probate, we blanket the country.
Yeah.
You would write to every bank, you'd write to, and everybody, you'd write for prize bonds, you'd write to On Post, every place that you think.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time and it does take a lot of work. But it's often the case when the relatives are not immediate family.
Yeah.
They don't have this information. So the only way that you can make them sure about what you're doing is getting the rejections from everywhere to say the assets don't exist. And that, again, if there's a house there and you're waiting, there's sale agreed on a house, you could be waiting 6 months for the application to go in for the actual grant. And nothing can happen with the property till the grant comes through.
So what do you advise your clients then, assuming that there is a will and you're going to make an application for the grant of probate and you've all the homework done before it, in terms of the timing of putting that property in the market? Because people can lose a buyer and sometimes buyers are under pressure too. They might be renting or they could have sold something and they're usually time constrained too. What's the best advice?
It completely depends on the person. And I mean this, like generally as a solicitor, I prefer they wait till the grant to issue.
Yeah.
Or not even issue, apologies, a grant to be applied for.
Yeah.
For it to come to us. But at the same time, as long as there's clear communication about what's happening. So I would have no problem somebody putting the property on the market as long as the buyer knows the grant has not been applied for. It's going to be 8 months, 9 months. People make plans around that.
Exactly.
So as long as there's a clear idea, so nobody is disappointed. Yeah. Nobody are going to end up waiting for 6 months and then walking away.
Yeah.
So if you're putting it on the market early, it is just let people know and the solicitors say, right, we have not applied for it. We expect to do it in 3 months. This is what we still have to do. So it's going to be 7 months to closing.
Yeah.
And then everyone, like when I was buying my house, I didn't mind waiting 4 or 5 months for the property to be ready. But I knew that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
And then I could plan my life around it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with anyone that if they knew and had realistic ideas of, okay, it's going to be 9 months when I'm in this house, you can plan your life around that and have a fabulous holiday and get your mortgage and, ready to go.
Yeah, communication. That's
it. I think just really to make sure people are happy that they know the house will come.
Yeah.
But it's just going to take that little bit extra time. And for a lot of people, they are happy with that.
Okay.
As long as they know, because I have clients that would check the probate register daily to see if their house is ready. And like you can look online to see if a grant of probate is issued. There is a way through the court's website, but you'll only see it there maybe a day or two after the probate is issued. Okay. So for some people it gets quite frustrating because you wake up every morning and checking the website to see, is today the day I'm going to get my house? So for us, that's the goal. That's what we want to do. And it's the nicest way to do it is to let people know, okay, it is going to happen, but this is our time frame for it.
Very good. Thanks, Suzanne. That's great to actually explain all that to people, because I think a lot of people that I deal with actually don't fully understand the process either.
Yeah.
Suzanne, Parker Law, you've just moved premises.
Yeah.
And you've a significant team. You're going from strength to strength.
Great group of people.
When did you start? Because you had a previous life in Dublin before, and you moved back to Waterford.
I did. I moved home in March 2019 is when I opened Parker Law, which happened by accident. I was moving back from Waterford and I drew down on my mortgage and my husband got made redundant from Dublin. So everything was perfect timing, but I had no job. Okay. So I had the house in Waterford ready to go. And it was a very different market in 2019. There wasn't the same opportunities here. There wasn't the same availability. There was some junior roles available, but I was after working and leading a private client team in Dublin. So it was quite a different move back for me. So I made the decision to go on my own and opened up in the front room of my house in Kilmeaden and just give it a go and see what happens. And 6 years later, I've had a few moves. I was in Boxworks for probably about 6 months. And then I was in Henrietta Street for 4 or 5 years. And we've just moved now to the new offices on Barronstrand Street.
And you have a growing team. I mean, your team has even grown.
Yeah, they keep showing up. We can't get rid of them.
They love it there, obviously.
Oh, look, they're good. And like everyone there plays such an important role in what we do.
Yeah.
And as I said, even we've got our legal executive that works in probate. It's her job to get the probate so we can sell the house and the property team. And, so we all work and we're all part of a team that everyone knows their role and everyone knows how important they are in the cog. Because if one part of it falls, so they're a good group of people.
Your sister Antoinette works with you too. How does that work out, two sisters working together? I have sisters. We get on great, but I'd be wondering, I could imagine if they were working with me, I think they'd find me too bossy.
We've actually worked in about 12 jobs together.
Oh, very good.
So my first job with her was in a Chinese restaurant when I was 14.
Yeah.
It was legal at the time.
Yeah.
And she was there. She's a couple of years older than me. But we've found a way to work together. She deals with the money and I deal with bringing in clients.
Very good.
So she gives out to me. And it's pretty right that I have someone that gives out to me, making sure I don't spend too much money.
Very good. So she keeps an eye on everything. She minds the money. That's very important.
Yeah. And she tells mother on me. So.
Oh, okay. She watches everything. Very good. And Suzanne, do you ever get spare time?
All the time. Yeah.
Do you get spare time? Because I know anytime I ring you, I always get the impression that like you're at a keyboard and you're like there's nearly steam coming off because you move so fast. Like you're incredibly efficient.
That's the way you have to be.
Yeah.
I think that if you, with everybody and everyone working in business, you've got so many balls in the air, you just keep them moving.
Yeah.
Like I have a 3-year-old and she's lovely. And sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, like you make time for the important things. And I think when you prioritize certain things like work and clients and then family time gets the priority too. And then you can go back to work without the mammy guilt, I think. And that's the important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you like to do in your spare time then?
Do you know what? In my spare time, I get my face painted with my 3-year-old. Or we were in Nor Valley Farm on Saturday and we went, I like spending time with the important people.
Yeah.
I don't have, I'm probably not doing interesting hobbies as well. Yeah. I used to love concerts and I used to love this, but that's not important to me anymore.
No, our priorities changed.
It does a huge
thing. Work-life balance is so important.
Yeah. So even being able to sit down and bring my little girl to get her first haircut, that's important.
Yeah.
And that's what I like doing.
You don't get them back.
No.
Yeah. No. And what's it all for?
I'm going to get sad now. I need to get some spare time and hobbies.
And Suzanne, what in terms of, we'll go back, I suppose, to Parker Law, what type of areas do you specialise in then?
We're a general practice office. Mm-hmm. So like specialising, we've won awards in property. We're the first time buyer's trusted solicitor. I'm a tax advisor. I'm a trust and estate planner. I just qualified as a mediator. So we work in family law, we work in litigation, we work in commercial property. Aisling is a lot of that. Aisling is qualified in employment law as her speciality. So we have a lot of things that we have a lot of expert knowledge on. And you have to, because one thing doesn't work as much in Waterford as it would probably in Dublin when I was in private client and I worked exclusively on tax and probate and life planning and structuring. But in Waterford, it's the same client that you buy a house for last week has an employment issue today and then had a car crash tomorrow. Okay. So you need to be able to move with your clients and be able to help. And if it's something that we don't have expert knowledge on, we'll either find it and be able to advise them and get barristers and get the key people involved, or we will get them a referral. If it's something that we're not comfortable, and I'd say one thing, intellectual property. That's one thing that I did for a little while in Dublin, but it's very specialised. Yeah. So that's one thing that I would recommend other solicitors to get involved in who are specialists in it. Okay. The same with crime. I've never worked in crime either. But I have friends that I worked for the DPP and worked in crime all their lives. So I'd send them off to find the criminal lawyers because they're such specialised areas that the people need the best support and the best advice. And if we can't provide it, we will tell them who can.
Okay, that's great. And Suzanne, what's next for Parker Law?
Let's get through the summer. The summer holidays are starting. So we're putting things in place to just make sure, we don't like clients being delayed. We like turnaround very quickly on our files and our emails and everything. So when we're coming up to the stage now that even the Easter holidays are starting off, we want to make sure that everybody is ready to go. So that's the key thing right now is just to get us prepared for a busy summer. Okay. And then it's usually September is when we sit back and assess what comes next.
Exactly. And then everyone wants to close their sales before Christmas.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, but all the new files that are coming in now, all the new bills, we know they're the ones that will be closing Christmas week. And it's quite exciting. So, we love
big countdown.
Yeah.
It starts already.
I know.
Yeah. Well, look, Suzanne, thank you so much for that very informative chat about probate and filling us in about Parker Law. You're just going from strength to strength. Thanks so much for your time.
I'm very welcome. Thank you very much.
And Parker Law are located on the quay in Waterford. You'll find them online as well and on social media. So do reach out to Suzanne and her team if you have any legal requirements. You can be guaranteed you're going to get a really, really great, efficient service. Thanks, Suzanne.
Thank you.